Alright, here we are back again at Fire and talking about fire starting methods. And the next method that we're going to start talking about is the fire piston. Basically, the fire piston method uses the same technology as a diesel engine. In fact, some people say that the man that invented the diesel engine saw this method of fire starting used over in the islands of the Philippines and Malaysia, and that's where he came up with the idea for the diesel engine. Basically, what you have here is you have a hardwood tube that has a brass inserted sleeve into it. And this brass inserted sleeve is milled out, and you have a striker or a piston that is very close to the inner diameter of the sleeve. Around that you have a gasket that's made out of rubber and a catch area on the top, and this gentleman that made this has used a Phillips head screw for this, and this is where you put your tinder. And what you do is you have to keep this thing lubed a little bit because it has to slide pretty freely in the cylinder. So you can use just about anything for that. You can use Vaseline, you can use lip balm, you can use some type of wax. Just about anything will work to lube this up that you carry in your kit anyway, for things like chafing or chapped lips or antiseptic ointments. Anything like that will work to lube this up. So what you have to do is you have to lube this thing up a little bit to make sure it slides freely inside here. And then what you have in this one has a little handy thing built into it. It has a little picker that's built into the side, and it's just a little sharpened piece of metal, and it's for picking your ember out from the front of your piston. Okay, so we'll put that back in there for the moment. And what we'll do is we're going to take a piece of tinder fungus. Okay, and you can use charred cloth for this. You can use charred twine for this. Charred hemp works real well. Tinder fungus works well. So does mullein, ground up mullein inside of a mullein stalk, dried out, works real well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a bit of this tinder fungus off, and we're going to stick it right on the end of this Phillips head screw. We're going to kind of push it down in there. And what happens is when you insert this into the end and you compress it very quickly, it causes heat to build up from the combustion, and that's what lights your tinder. So let's just see how good this little thing works. Okay, it's black. Let some air get to it and see if it starts smoking here. I'm trying to hold it up to the light myself to see over the smoke of my own fire. Doesn't look like it quite caught the first time. Let's try it one more time and see what happens. Not quite as easy as they say it is, doesn't look like. It does have some black spots on it, but it didn't catch coal that time. The gentleman that made this told me that sometimes if you hold it upside down and shake it up and down a little bit, that pushes air back into it and oxygen that you need for your fire. So we'll insert it again, and we just barely insert it to the rubber. A fast hit is supposed to be all it takes. Again, it doesn't look like it caught fire that time. So this will be our fourth try. Okay. I still don't see any ember. I see dark spots, but I don't see it catching fire. Let's try her again. There she goes. There she goes. Alright, you see the smoke coming off of that? That little ember right there? She's glowing red. Now the method to use this would be to take my picker that I have in my tube that was supplied by the maker. You have to have long fingernails to get that out. Hope your ember doesn't go out in the meantime. And you'd pick that ember out, and you can see it burning on the end of my finger there. And you put that into your bird nest, and that's what you'd use to start your fire. I'd say it only took 4 or 5 tries. That's a pretty reliable method, considering I've only done that 2 or 3 times. A lot of guys that use these say they can do that the first time around every time. Maybe if I had the technique down pat, I could do the same thing. So I'd say that's a pretty reliable method of starting fire. Really all you need to carry around with you is the fire piston itself, some kind of lube, which you'd probably have in your kit anyway, and some char material or punk wood. Now the manufacturer of this fire piston told me that the way to store this is to take a small piece of tissue paper because the tolerances are so tight on this piston, if you take a small piece of tissue paper and wrap it over the top of your piston, when you push it back in for storage, it breaks that seal and allows the air to escape around it, and your piston will stay in. Didn't have a whole lot of luck with it that time. Try it again here. As you can see, it's just a real thin, small piece of tissue paper. Something you'd probably have in your kit anyway. There again. There it goes, sliding right in there. Still didn't quite get all the air out of it though. It's still wanting to push up on me. That's not what I want. I'm going to have something in my kit. I want it to work right. Let's take that piece off and we'll throw that over in our fire, and I'll just get another little bitty piece here and try it again. This time I'm going to wrap it right around the edge and over the top. Try to shove that right down in there and see what happens. That felt like the air escaped. Okay, there we go. And we'll put that in our backpack. We've got a little piece of tinder fungus here, keeping our kit. We're ready to go. A little piece of tinder fungus I took off of that. There's probably 10 or 12 more left on that piece to start fires with. So that's probably good for 10 or 12, 15 fires, just those two pieces right there. Hope you enjoyed this segment on the fire piston. Well, I hope you enjoyed our video on fire making. One more thing that I wanted to show you before we take off today. You saw me cooking some hot chocolate in a bean can earlier, and you probably thought, man, that's silly. What's he doing that for? Is he a hobo? No. The reason for that, and I'll show you real quick, what I've got is I've got a 6-ounce Nagleen bottle. You can buy these just about anywhere. They're about $5. And I've got a small neoprene cover that I picked up at Walmart, I think, for about $2. And I take this regular bean tin, and this Nagleen bottle fits right down inside of it. And I take that whole thing and shove it in this neoprene cover. Slide it over the top just like that. And what I've got when I'm done is, even with this thing full of water, I've got a small kit here that I can carry in my backpack to cook in. And I've got clean water to use. And it's very easy and convenient and light on a day that I'm only going to be in the woods for a couple hours, 3 hours, 4 or 5 hours maybe, but it's snowing outside and it's kind of cold, and you never know when I'm going to get a little bit chilly and I want some comfort and enjoyment, and this gives it to me, and it weighs almost nothing and it costs almost nothing. Real good tip to put in your bag for your kit. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Hope to see you again on Wilderness Outfitters Archery.